A failed student and a virgin because he's too ugly ends up being forced to live a fake married life with the prettiest girl in his class and must earn a lot of points in order to graduate from high school. Unfortunately, he practices everything about married life except the most important thing. Of course, you know what I mean. The story begins with a girl named Akari with a striking beauty and large breasts throwing a coin into an open box to make a wish. As she is praying in front of the thing, her classmate Shiori interrupts her after she stumbles behind her and clings to her before she falls and ends up bumping into her butt. When Shiori sees that it's Akari, she realizes that she's here to wish for a special partner in their school's marriage training. Akari is embarrassed and runs away. Akari and Shiori attend a high school that runs a marriage training course at a certain time of the year where male and female students are paired up and live a mock married life to practice for their future marriages. Meanwhile, an ugly loser student named Jiru was sitting on the school steps with his friend playing a trivial game where he had to defeat an evil boss in order to save the princess he considers his imaginary lover, even though she is nothing more than a poor quality cartoon like his own face. His friend Sadaharu makes fun of him for getting excited about a lazy character in this day and age, then shows him a picture of the same game in 3D and tells him that the princess he's after is even more exciting. Jiru shrugs it off and tells him that he likes the simplicity of the first part because it allows him to imagine the princess as his girlfriend. He then remembers Shiori, but his thoughts are quickly interrupted by the voice of Akari and her friends arrogantly ordering them to get out of her way. Sadaharu whispered to Jiru that she had a sexy scent, but Jiru didn't like the kind of girl Akari was and told him that he didn't like the way she talked and her clothes showed too much of her body in a vulgar way and didn't want anything to do with girls like her. Then the most handsome guy in the school appeared in front of them, and the dream of all the girls, the blonde Minami, and Akari's attitude changed 180 degrees, making them feel like scum compared to him, while Akari kept talking passionately to him while blushing. The bell rang for the start of class before Jiru could finish his game, and he ended up sitting in class bored until his childhood friend and first love Shiori started talking to him about the marriage training course and asked him if she was the only one who was nervous. He tells her that he's nervous too because he's not good with girls and thinks to himself that she's the only one he can talk to normally, and even though things didn't work out between them as lovers, he feels satisfied that at least they're still friends. Then he found her saying that she felt shy around strangers and hoped that she would choose someone she knew well. Then the teacher entered the classroom to start explaining the course in detail and told them that starting from now the students will live as couples in the dormitory prepared for the training, and the dormitory has a surveillance camera and a sensor installed in the living room to evaluate the partner's performance through their lifestyle together. Then she added that each partner will have a separate bedroom since they are still children, and each room has a fingerprint sensor for only one person, preventing the other person from entering under any circumstances. Jiru felt like it was just a useless internship for him and had nothing to do with studying. Then he turned to Shiori and thought that he had a 75% chance of being chosen, but before he could get too deep into his fantasies, he shook those thoughts out of his head and remembered that they were just childhood friends and that she spoke to him smoothly because she didn't see him as a man. After defeating the evil boss, the hero made his way towards his beloved princess, but unfortunately she wasn't the one he wanted to meet. At the same time, he felt satisfied that he had exhausted his in-game jinx, which would make things go well in the marriage training course. Then he ended up becoming the partner of the most unwanted girl in the course, the arrogant and sexy Akari, who had her fists clenched around his neck inside their house to express her displeasure at having someone as pathetic as him as her partner, while Jiru felt like he was the victim. When he tells her that he too was expecting another partner to go through the training course with, she realizes that he means Shiori, which makes him surprised, so she tells him that it's easy to read his mind with his ridiculous facial expressions and starts teasing him by imagining what Shiori is doing now with her partner, making Jiru's head turn into an adult movie all of a sudden. Feeling offended, he tells her that this is just an insulting speculation that he won't believe. As they talk, they are surprised that their score is negative, and Akari realizes that they have to get along so they don't lose any more points. When Jiru sarcastically predicted that they would reach minus 10,000, she grabbed his collar and told him that they had to reach the top 10 so they could switch partners. Jiru didn't understand what she said, so Akari explained that the top 10 highest scorers in the course have the right to change partners, and when they reach that level, they will get rid of each other and choose the one that suits them best. But until then, they must make an effort to get along. Then she expressed her confidence that the partner she wanted, Minami, would not fall below the top 10, so she aspired to reach the same level in order to complete the course with him, and Jiru blushed so much that his face almost exploded when he realized that earning points might mean that they would have to live their married life romantically. Jiru sat alone, embarrassed by the idea, while Akari began to make fun of him and call him a virgin, then began to approach him affectionately until her breasts stuck to his arm, making him reach a temperature of 1,000, and when she whispered to him that she would try her best to be his perfect wife, he was shocked that she didn't mind being with a man like him. Akari wanted to continue wooing him, but he pulled away and and told her it was his first time in such a situation, then decided to go out to buy a drink, so she asked him to bring her strawberry milk, and after he left, she sat alone and started crying out of embarrassment since she is a virgin just like him, unlike her appearance. Jiru then buys a drink from the vending machine and is shocked to see Shiori accompanying Minami and realizes that they are partners in the course. He gets angry and leaves quickly before they notice him and starts thinking that he thought he wouldn't care if something happened between them. Then he ends up sitting devastated at home next to Akari because he's forced to compete against someone like Minami and doesn't stand a chance against him, and when he asks Akari to leave him alone, he's surprised when she pats him on the head and tells him to cheer up. He doesn't believe she means it and asks her not to make fun of him. She tells him that she doesn't mean it, but that they have to pretend they're really married to get into the top 10 and get what they want. Then she puts her hands around his face and tells him that being depressed and indecisive all the time isn't going to get him anywhere. Jiru had no choice but to comply, being inexperienced when it came to marriage. She told him that it wouldn't work that way and that he should make an effort to do the right thing or he would be a virgin for the rest of his life. Just then, they were interrupted by someone coming outside. When Jiru took a look, he realized it was four-eyed Sadaharu inviting him to hang out and play video games. Jiru felt he had saved his life and agreed immediately. As he put on his shoes, Akari asked him if he was really leaving with their score still in the negative. He wondered what he should do about it, and when she motioned for him to give her a kiss goodbye, he thought with his empty head that she meant to eat a certain kind of fish before he was shocked that she wanted to kiss him. Between his friend's repeated calls and Akari's provocation, he got angry and couldn't help himself and ended up approaching her and kissing her lips before leaving quickly, and their score went back to 0. The next day, Jiru dreamed that Shiori was waking him up, and when she told him that she would kiss him if he didn't wake up, he preferred to stay asleep the whole time until he got a kiss. But when he woke up, he found Akari standing with kitchen utensils and waking him up to help her make breakfast. Jiru doesn't realize for a moment that he slept here last night. Then he remembers the kiss he gave her and how soft her lips were, but he quickly shakes his head to remind himself that his girlfriend is still Shiori. A week later, Jiru was at school and saw his girlfriend and Minami walking to class when he was interrupted by the teacher coming into the office to tell him that he had to come to the teacher's office with Akari after school. When he finished talking to the teacher, he was surprised to see Shiori clinging to Minami's arm, which made him very frustrated throughout the day because he was sure that things were going well between them, and he began to imagine what they would do together when they were in their own dormitory, which made him even worse. In the evening, it started raining heavily, and the students had to wait for the rain to stop so they could go home. While Jiru was bored of waiting, Sadaharu told him that he had a good day after getting a rare card in their favorite game. Jiru tells him that he should buy him something, but Sadaharu refuses, telling him that he's saving the money for his girlfriend Marin, who makes him a rice omelette and describes how good it tastes, even though it's just a picture to him. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Akari, who seemed in a hurry to leave with Minami and go to the karaoke bar. Before she left, Jiru told her that they had to go to the teacher's office for the training course, but she shrugged, told him to take care of him, and left quickly. Jiru felt like he was having the worst day ever, and when he showed up for the interview alone, the teacher told him that he had to work hard to earn points, or he wouldn't be able to graduate until he successfully completed the course, so he had to get along with Akari in any way he could. Meanwhile, Akari was having fun with Minami singing karaoke, while Jiru sat for a long time inside the building waiting for the rain to stop because he didn't have an umbrella, and then began to envy Akari for having fun with the person she cares about. His thoughts are interrupted when Shiori joins him, and he doesn't expect her to stay at school this late. She tells him that she attended the student council meeting today, and when she sits next to him, he asks her if she has an umbrella, hoping that they can share it together, but she told him that she forgot it in the dormitory. Then he surprised her by clinging to his arm tightly without warning before he realized that she thought there was a bug on the glass window, but someone had drawn it. Then she told him that she saw a real one this morning when she arrived at school, and that's when he realized that she clung to Minami's arm for that reason, which made him feel a little relieved. He thought about telling her something, and when he called her by her surname, she asked him to call her by her first name as he had done in the past, so she wouldn't feel lonely. Jiru felt that there was something wrong with the sudden turn of events, but decided it was time to be brave and confess his love to her. Before he could open up to her, they are interrupted by Minami coming to take her home, and he ends up alone again. Meanwhile, Akari eavesdrops on the three of them talking and waits for Minami and Shiori to leave to go share her umbrella with Jiru. On the way home, she suggested that he try going somewhere alone with Shiori, and that she would have shared her umbrella with Minami if they had done that, and when she saw the frustration on his face, she grabbed him and told him not to give up yet, and he thought he was just a pathetic person for Akari to comfort him like that. When they got home, he was shocked to see that Akari had prepared an omelette with rice for them for dinner like in the game, and when he started to put ketchup on his plate, she gently held his hand to help him put the ketchup in a certain way and ended up drawing a heart on the omelette. Jiru liked the food and found that she was good at cooking, and when she was about to start eating, he decided to feed her himself, like lovers do, but she refused to go along with him, which caused him embarrassment refreshment, and before he could eat, she approached him and made him feed her, and that's when they realized they had become a couple. Just as they were about to kiss, Jiru hears his phone ring and enters his room to answer the phone, while the two of them are amazed at the sensation they feel when they get close to each other and their sudden heart palpitations. Jiru wakes up in the middle of the night after having a romantic dream with Shiori, who hugged him tightly and asked him to stay with her so she wouldn't feel lonely, but he ends up waking up to Akari's voice calling him outside, and when he goes outside, he is surprised to find her rushing towards him and asking him to stay with her tonight. They ended up watching a scary movie in the middle of the night, and although Akari was very scared, she made sure to follow her friend's advice to watch a scary movie with him in order to score a lot of points. Jiru turns off the TV and tells her that the scary movie plan won't work for them. She says that they should overcome their fear and continue watching the movie and do their best to accumulate points and achieve their goal of staying with the one they love. She then gave him a pair of pajamas that she had already bought and asked him to wear them to match their outfits, but he blushed and flatly refused to wear such clothes as it was only for couples. She told him that exaggerating what they are doing now is exactly what they need to do. He picked up the pajamas, thinking about how she had bought this with her own money when she was excited when she went to the karaoke parlor with Minami, and suspected that something had happened between them that night and wondered if he was thinking about it as if it was bothering him. Then he's surprised that she's changing in the living room and asks him to turn around, so he turns his back and decides to go along with what she's doing, and it's okay for him to change in the same place because he doesn't think she sees him as a man anyway. Suddenly the power went out while they were changing, and when he turned to check on Akari, he found her rushing towards him and started to feel her sensitive areas close to him and thought he should move away before the beast inside him wakes up. Then he notices that their score meter keeps going up and Akari is afraid of the dark, so he decides to use his phone's flashlight to illuminate the room and finds that she is crying while Akari has moved his face away from her so he doesn't have to look at her in this situation. He tries to go back to his room again, but the sensor system doesn't work due to the power outage, and she tells him to come back to her quickly if he can't open the doors. He thinks he shouldn't miss seeing her like this, scared and sexy at the same time, and they end up glued to each other on the couch. She asked him to talk about something interesting, and when he remained silent, she told him that he had to learn how to do it so that girls would like him, so he found it impossible to evade her and thought of telling her a fairy tale, and started telling a scary story about a well owned by an elderly couple and inhabited by the ghost of a woman who only appears at night. Akari put her hands over her ears so she couldn't hear the rest of the story and began to express her indignation at his infinite stupidity and thought that Minami would have been nicer to her in that situation. Then she grabbed his hand and told him to let her rely on him a little since he was the only one by her side right now. He quickly pulled away before his instincts kicked in and thought she was messing with him because she knew he was a virgin. Then he found her lighting a scented candle. Meanwhile, Jiru caught a cold in his room after he fell into the bathtub while cleaning it and ended up suffering alone after Akari went out to hang out with her friends. He sat thinking that this would be a good day for them to raise their ranking in training and wondered if Shiori would take good care of him if she was with him, and as the fantasies began to creep into his mind, he wished that Akari could come back now and take care of him. He was surprised when he heard the doorbell ring and thought she had come back quickly. When he went to open the door, he realized that Shiori had come to visit him after learning of his illness, and Akari was sitting absent-mindedly with her friends. Natsumi thought she was thinking about Minami. Akari decided to change the subject and started eating pancakes with them. When Natsumi mentioned that these pancakes are known as Princess Kiss because they look soft on the edges like lips, Akari remembered Jiru's kiss on their first day together, and without realizing it, she denied that it is not what it looks like in front of them. Her friends thought that something had happened between her and Minami at karaoke, so she denied it and started eating her food in silence, confused by her constant thoughts of Jiru. On the other hand, Shiori was with Jiru in his room and he felt grateful to her for buying a lot of things for him. She told him that Akari was the one who asked her to take care of him because she was busy today. Jiru felt grateful to Akari for helping him get closer to Shiori indirectly, while Shiori remembered when they were young when she had a cold and he came to visit her and put cold reliever on her forehead. She then told him that she was very happy back then, but Jiru didn't remember what happened back then. She then applied the cold reliever to his forehead and Jiru's face almost exploded with shame. After she finished treating him, she put on her cooking outfit and went to prepare some food for him. Jiru thought about not misinterpreting her care for him as before and remembered when they were young, when she had to move to another school because her father moved to another job. He was going to confess his love to her, but she beat him to it and told him that even if they parted ways, she would still consider him her friend. Realizing that nothing was going to change and that maybe it was for the best after all, he came back to reality when he saw Shiori staring at him while holding food for him. He didn't hesitate to take it from her and ate it greedily, overjoyed that he was eating her cooking for the first time in his life, and then paid attention when she expressed her happiness at his ability to eat on his own and quickly felt frustrated that he missed the opportunity to feed him himself. After he finished his food, he invited Minami because he enjoys eating eating her food that she prepares every day, so she told him that they take turns cooking, and upon learning that he knows how to cook, he realized why Akari is obsessed with him and then told her that his cooking is very bad, so he relies on Akari for that while doing other household chores to compensate for it. Realizing that things were going well between them, he felt curious to talk to her about her schedule and told her that he was willing to help her if she needed it, then quickly felt ashamed for pretending to be a good man when he wanted to help her for his own benefit of living with her. Shiori felt grateful to him and told him that she could only try harder and blamed herself for being uncomfortable with boys, then surprised her by telling him that she would feel comfortable if he was her husband, and then rationalized it as a joke. As she was about to leave, he grabbed her hand and started encouraging her to go ahead with the course, telling her to be confident. When he realized he was embarrassed, he hid under his blanket and started blaming himself for making her feel like a freak. Then he remembered that she probably wouldn't care much about it since she came at Akari's request and would be fine once she got used to Minami being around, and he kept thinking about it until he fell asleep. And when Shiori came back to him and found him sleeping, she expressed her happiness that he finally called her by her first name and then approached him and kissed him. Akari and her friends were talking about the rumors that Shiori was deliberately avoiding Minami, which caused their ranking to drop, but they thought that she might get along with him once she got used to his presence and continued to joke with Akari that the virgin girl might steal her future husband. Meanwhile, Shiori hesitated to kiss Jiro, realizing that it wasn't right because they weren't married yet. She remembered their last meeting before she transferred to another school and that he told her that nothing would change between them when she left. As she talked about her intention to return to the city for Christmas, Jiro felt like leaving, and she thought that she might never see him again, which made her feel sad. After she left, Akari returned home and went to take a bath before bed, thinking that Shiori might kidnap Minami from her if they got along, but her thoughts were interrupted when Jiro spoke to her from outside. When he asked her about asking Shiori to come take care of him during his illness, she sarcastically told him that a virgin like him would need someone to play mom for him, then surprised him by telling her that he would do his best to be a good husband to her and that he intended to help her make things work between her and Minami. He then expresses his gratitude to her for making him live a beautiful dream of pretending to be a happy couple together. After he goes to sleep, Akari marvels at her sudden sense of distress at what he said and his desire to help her reach out to Minami. The next day, Jiro is surprised that Akari wants to take his advice on what girls should do to make a man happy, as men prefer Shiori-type girls who are hardworking in household chores, and when she finds him silent, she pulls the plate in front of him and tells him that she won't give him a portion of food if he doesn't answer her questions. He told her that one of the things that makes a man happy is to make a food box for him. She thought it was a good idea and decided to make a special food box for him and asked him to help her with it. He ended up helping Akari with the food box after they shopped for a while, and while they were working, they earned a lot of points. In the evening, they sat down to eat dinner together, and Jiro admired her choice of different types of food. When he liked the food, Akari told him that she didn't want to know what he thought. She wanted to know what Minami would like, but he obviously had no idea what his taste in food was, so Akari decided to put different types of food in the lunchbox for him to eat during the school day, and in the process, they managed to score a lot of points. Jiro then sat down to his lunch with Sadaharu, who was surprised that Akari had made it for him and considered him a very lucky person. Jiro wondered if he was doing well with his training partner. He told him that there was no love between them at all, and that he felt awkward when they first ate together, and then opened his favorite game to collect login rewards and see his virtual girlfriend Marin. Jiro told him not to feel bad about getting rewards and to be happy about it. Sadaharu felt frustrated and told him that he didn't want to hear that from someone whose life lately seems like a twisted manga novel, and advised him to use the course to not be a virgin anymore. When he wanted to know if something had happened between them, Jiro thought he deserved an award for self-control while living with a hot girl like her, and when he asked him to stop talking about it so as not to embarrass him when he got home, he was surprised to see her standing in front of him. Akari gave him a sharp look and asked him what he was saying about her, which made him apologize to her out of nervousness, and when she asked him about the food, he told her that it was very tasty even though it wasn't his favorite, and she said she didn't care about his taste in food, while Sadaharu was forced to watch an argument between two lovers. At night, Jiro sat in his room playing his favorite game and trying to find a way to defeat the evil boss. The next day, he found Akari making breakfast and was surprised to find that she had prepared a delicious box of food, but today it was for Minami. She tells him that she intends to take the box to his workplace, and when she hears his stomach growling, she feeds him an extra piece of what she prepared, and their score rises to 23, while he notices that Akari's clothes are overly gaudy. She tells him that it's the best she has, and he keeps thinking that she spent a lot of time choosing her clothes for Minami's meeting today, and compares it to how she doesn't care what she wears when she's with him, and then Akari asks him to say goodbye before she leaves like he did that day. His face turns red with embarrassment, and he thinks that he is not mentally ready to do it now, and when she begs him to give her a kiss goodbye, he is surprised when she tells him that he made her feel safe when he did it before, and he can't resist her her expression, so he approaches her, but he is saved by the sound of a knock on the door. When he answered the door, he found that it was Shiori, and when she apologized for coming without an appointment, Akari sarcastically told her that he has nothing to do since he doesn't have many friends. Then Shiori gave them the apple pie she made today, and Akari was surprised that Minami likes sweet foods, according to Shiori. Then she noticed a box of food on the table and guessed that they were about to go on a picnic. After she left, Akari ended up sitting in front of the apple pies feeling frustrated, while Juru ate the food she had already prepared for Minami. He tried to help her cheer up, but wondered what she had to offer Minami to make him feel her love, and all this time she thought she could do it through cooking. Juru felt bad for her as he used to see her cheerful and energetic all the time, but now she's so depressed. He tried to encourage her by telling her about her personality traits: cheerful, outspoken, can make friends with anyone, and popular among young people. When she asked him what was good about her, he started to mention her qualities from his male point of view, but he was a little too blunt, but he quickly corrected himself, although it didn't change her frustrated state of mind. Then she asked him if he thought of her in the same way as other men, and he felt confused as he falsely denied that he had ever thought of her in that way, and then he found her approaching him and telling him that he was a liar until she was lying right on top of him, knowing that he had already thought about having sex with her before. Juru couldn't say a word out of shock and didn't know what to do in such a situation, while Akari kept asking him how often he thought about sleeping with her, and when he was silent, he found her holding his hand and making him take off her shirt to tell him that she didn't mind giving him what he wanted. Juru couldn't believe he was on the verge of losing his virginity, yet he had an uncomfortable feeling about it. Before she could go any further, he grabbed her hand, stopped her, and yelled at her that she should only have sex with the person she loved. She got up and walked away and decided that they should stop doing the couple thing. Since then, they've been living together as roommates, dropping their total score to near zero and spending their time doing their favorite things. A month later, the new ranking table for couples came out, and Minami and Shiori managed to reach 8th place and earn the right to switch partners, and Shiori was disappointed to see Juru and Akari in 75th place. Meanwhile, Sadaharu found Juru relieving himself in the bathroom and started scolding him about his poor results in training and felt that something was wrong because of him, while Juru was lost in thought about the right choice to make and remembered what happened that day and thought at first that she was making fun of him, but realized that she was serious when she touched his hand and felt the coldness of her hand and her tension, which made him guess that she was still a virgin like him. When he came out of the bathroom, Shiori was waiting for him and asked him to have a private conversation, so they went to the roof together, and she wondered if there was something wrong between him and Akari, and he tried to make light of it by saying that it was just a fight and that he hadn't found the right time to apologize. She told him that she would definitely understand since she spends a lot of time with him as partners and that she knows this as his childhood friend, but Juru couldn't argue with her because she always beats him when it comes to arguments, and he didn't expect her to notice it even though it was obvious from the results of the month. Juru returned home and found Akari sitting in her room after she had left some food outside for him to warm up, and their scores were back to zero. So he tried to knock on her door to tell her that he wanted to talk to her for a moment, and when she didn't answer, he realized that she had no intention of going out. Then he was surprised to find her opening the door and inviting him into her room. After he entered, he found her completely ignoring his presence and going back to checking her phone on the bed. So he told her that he wanted to apologize for what happened that day, and she told him that he did nothing wrong, but he insisted on blaming himself. She told him that it was an attempt to do something useless. Then she put her blanket over her out of embarrassment and asked him to forget that day, and then he decided to tell her what was going on inside him and told her that he had had wild fantasies about her several times. She yelled at him to stop and accused him of verbal harassment in a girl's room, but he continued and told her that he didn't know why he stopped her, but what he really felt was that he should treat her more attentively. He then expressed his desire for them to talk to each other again and eat together. He leaned over and asked her to give him another chance. He took off her blanket and asked her if they could be a couple again. Realizing that he might cause another misunderstanding, he explains that he meant the course and won't get in her way about Minami. She bursts out laughing at his desperate act as if he's actually proposing marriage, and he tries to remind her that she was the one who asked him to stop being a couple, and she says they can't stop because it's a school curriculum. Juru accused her of trying to manipulate him, but she told him that she was just trying to go along with the situation. When he started complaining about the pain she caused him, she grabbed his hands and put them on her cheeks and told him that she had become somewhat fond of him after realizing that she enjoyed being a couple more than she expected. Juru felt the impetus to kiss her, and when he approached her, he ended up kissing his hands after Akari pulled away and pretended to joke, which angered him a little, but at least he knew that she was no longer angry with him, while Akari went out on the balcony, blushing and not believing that she finally expressed her admiration for him. The next day, Akari is surprised to learn that her friend Saki has reached a B rating in the monthly evaluation of marriage training results. Saki tells her that her partner is just taking things seriously and that they are waiting until they are in the top 10 so that they can change partners. Natsumi expressed her frustration at imagining that her boyfriend could live with so many different girls if he could make the top 10, and Akari told her that it's hard to make the top 10 because sharing an apartment with someone is very annoying, plus she has to pretend to be his wife. Jiru, on the other hand, was distracted staring at Shiori and quickly became frustrated when Minami shined in basketball practice and drew the attention of everyone, including Shiori and Akari, and then found Sadaharu asking him if he knew about the rumors about Shiori lately. At the same time, Akari learns of a rumor that Minami has no intention of switching Shiori with another girl, and Saki thinks that it's not uncommon for those who make it to the top 10 to switch partners, as if the school made that requirement to make them experience marriage with different people. Akari felt uncomfortable with the idea and thought it sounded like unethical pair swapping, but Natsumi told her that it could lead to something happening between the partners if they stayed together for too long. Jiru, on the other hand, was frustrated by what he heard from Sadaharu about his girlfriend staying with Minami and kept staring at him until he began to imagine him as his video game hero who fights the bad guys while he is just a useless nobody, and the hero will end up getting cheers from everyone and winning the hearts of the two girls. After practice, Shiori goes to Jiru and senses that something is wrong with him. When she asks him if he fought with Akari again, he tells her that everything is fine, and she feels relieved and asks him not to cause trouble for her because she is a good girl after all. Jiru wondered how she would react if he told her that she was the cause of his current condition, but preferred to ask her if she intended to stay with Minami forever as a couple while Akari took the training tools to put them in storage. As she was talking to herself, she was surprised by Minami's voice behind her, causing her to turn toward him and back up until she hit the shelves and caused a box to fall on top of her, and Minami rushed toward her and managed to save her just in time. Akari felt ashamed and happy at the same time for being so close to him. Then she asked him why he was here, and he told her that they asked him to put the ball in the warehouse. Akari wondered to herself why her heart was pounding for him and felt relieved about it. Remembering Natsumi's words at the gym, she was curious to ask him if he intended to stay with Shiori forever, and he replied that he didn't mind as she wanted to stay with him since things were going so well between them. Akari was surprised to find tears in her eyes and that she still loved him after all. When he turned towards her, she pretended that there was some dust in her eyes, but he approached her and looked at her eyes closely. Meanwhile, Sadaharu was closing the windows and heard a noise from the warehouse, so he thought that Jiru was inside, but when he went there, he was shocked to see Akari and Minami together. On the other hand, Shiori said that the decision to switch partners cannot be made alone. Jiru told her that he understands that Minami is a great person and apologized for asking such a silly question, and Shiori thought that if he made it to the top 10, she might consider switching partners with him. She quickly changes the subject before he realizes what she's about to say, but before she leaves, he promises that he'll do his best to make the top 10 and then they can be together. But before he can finish his sentence, Sadaharu rushes over to them and tells him that there's an emergency. Jiru grabs him and tells him seriously to get out of his face now or he'll send him to his grave. He realizes that he was in the middle of something with Shiori before he came. When Jiru comes to his senses, Sadaharu tells him that he saw Minami and Akari together. Before he could finish his sentence, the duo appeared in front of them and Jiru looked directly at her while she avoided eye contact, which made Sadaharu feel like he was in the middle of a battlefield that had nothing to do with him and saw the options available to him in this situation as Yuji used playing cards and chose to lighten the atmosphere with a quick joke. However, he quickly reconsiders his decision when he notices some girls nearby, and if he fails in his plan, it could be the end of his academic life at this school. His thoughts are interrupted by Minami approaching him to tell him that he was already looking for him and gave him the key to the store because the teacher told him that he was a member of the sports committee. Before Minami left, he asked Shiori to submit the form to continue their training marriage, but they argued about it for some time until Shiori decided to go to lunch with him. After Sadaharu left, Jiru approached Akari, and before he could start talking, he found her leaving on her way to class. After a while, Akari decided to leave early to go home, while Jiru sat playing during the break and noticed Sadaharu wandering around like a fly, causing him to lose his concentration and making the wrong decision in the game. Sadaharu got confused and tried to tell him indirectly what he saw today, but he had no choice but to tell him, and when he told him that he happened to see Minami kissing Akari, he realized why she left early. Sadaharu felt that he was right and left quietly, while Jiru was filled with frustration because he is no one's favorite even in video games. In the evening, he returned home and found her lying on the couch, so he asked her if she had a cold or fever, but she remained absent-minded. He sat down next to her and apologized to her that he was not Minami, which made her wonder why he suddenly mentioned his name. He indirectly told her that he learned about their closeness during exercise and seemed happy for her. She tried to justify it by telling him that his talking to her made her happy, and before she could finish her sentence, he told her with his head down that he knew about their hugging and kissing, that it was worth congratulating her, and that if she ended up with him as she wanted, he would be happy for her. Akari burst out laughing when she realized he meant the moment she made him check her eyes for dust and told him it was just a misunderstanding, whereupon he became furious with Sadaharu and vowed to send him to his grave when he saw him. She then added that it's impossible impossible for something like that to happen between them suddenly, and that she's just frustrated that he's not willing to switch partners even though she's trying her best to get his attention. She kept her head down until Giroux approached her and grabbed her. She was embarrassed to see him crying and asked him to look away, but he moved closer and hugged her and told her that he was now looking away as she wished, and she clung to him and started crying in pain. Afterward, Akari took a shower before bed while Giroux blamed himself for ending up hugging her after he panicked and felt angry that he didn't know exactly what to do and worried that she didn't want to be hugged by a man she didn't like. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of her voice telling him that the bathroom was available, and he was shocked to see her wearing one of his shirts under the pretext that her clothes were not yet dry, and he could not say a word until she sat next to him on the couch and moved closer to him while he was having a hard time controlling himself. And then he told her frankly that she wanted to be hugged by a man she liked. He told her to be careful because he didn't know where to look. She asked him slyly if his heart was racing when she approached him like that, but he tried to pretend otherwise and told her that he was used to seeing her like that. She moved closer to him and fell asleep in his arms and told him that she could feel his rapid heartbeat. Giroux got up and started praying that his male instincts would go away and he would be able to resist her arousal. Then he tried to convince her to wear more clothes so she wouldn't catch a cold, and that she was only supposed to wear such clothes in front of Minami. And she asked him if he believed she really kissed him and if he thought she was an easy girl who just hung around everyone ready to have sex with them. He told her that he had already apologized for that, and when he turned towards her, he found her putting her fingers on his lips and saying that her first kiss was the one he gave her, and it was the only kiss she felt. And when she expressed her displeasure at the way he kissed her as a virgin, he seemed shocked to hear that he was the first boy in her life despite her immense popularity, and what confuses him is that he feels happy about it. The next day, Giroux is about to leave for school when he's surprised to see Akari approaching him to adjust his tie, and while he's distracted by the thought of someone like him ending up as a fake husband to the hottest and most popular girl in his class, she thinks he's staring at her breasts and keeps scolding him. Then she suddenly changed her attitude and hugged him before he left, telling him to take care of himself. Before he could get his hands on her, she pulled away and told him to take care of the detritus, but on the plus side, their scores went back up and they were in the lead. When he got to his class, he was surprised to see Shiori inside setting up the class early before the students arrived and wondered if he had misunderstood, since it was his and Mei's turn to set up the class today. She told him that Mai had asked her to take her place because she had to attend the club leaders meeting and remembered that she hadn't done homework with him since they were in junior high, while Giroux felt that he was the lucky one. In the middle of the day, Mai wondered if her plan to get closer and closer to him had worked. Finding Shiori still feeling awkward, she wondered why she hadn't expressed her feelings for him and expressed her confidence that it would work out between them. Shiori replied that Giroux doesn't think of her that way, while Mai believes that he feels the same way since he doesn't have any relationships with other girls or try to talk to anyone. She then told her that she should take the initiative to express her feelings, even if it's just by kissing him so that he notices, and warned her that Akari will steal him away from her if she continues to procrastinate. Shiori felt she was right and should hurry up and was grateful for her encouragement. Meanwhile, Akari was having lunch with her friends, and as she ate, she noticed them staring at her, wondering if she had fallen in love with Giroux after they got along so well as a couple. Natsumi thought it would be better for her to have someone like him as a boyfriend, but she was still thinking about Minami. On the other hand, Giroux was organizing the library with Shiori and preparing the classrooms, and while they were working, Giroux thought about bringing up any topic with her so that they wouldn't remain silent. When he couldn't think of anything, he found Shiori asking him if he remembered Hatai, the science teacher with the strange clothes, and told him that she had run into him at the grocery store the other day while Akari was wandering around waiting for him to respond to her letter. When she approached the classroom and saw him inside, she remembered that he had homework today, and when she realized that Shiori was with him, she automatically hid herself behind the wall and turned back, and in the meantime, Shiori and Giroux's hands met as they were wiping the blackboard. He was surprised when she asked him to close his eyes and bend down. He thought it was the best day of his life because he thought she wanted to kiss him, but he was soon disappointed after she only brushed the chalk dust out of his hair. And when Shiori went to the window to clean the wipers, he felt frustrated that she couldn't kiss him. In the evening, Giroux sat thinking about his relationship with Shiori, and that if he had confessed his feelings to her when they were young and she had rejected him, they wouldn't have been able to spend time together like they did today, and he realized how boring he is because they don't have many memories. His thoughts were interrupted when Akari joined him to give him some hot milk and noticed that he looked sad for some reason. When she asked him how things went between him and Shiori, he felt embarrassed and tried to convince her that everything was fine, but she realized from his facial expression that he was lying. Akari thought it would be better if she was with Minami, so he apologized for being a boring person and thought that the stars would feel proud if someone like Minami looked at them. Suddenly, she asks him to call her by her first name. When he refuses, she expresses her displeasure that he calls Shiori by her first name, but not his wife. He tells her that it's a little different, while she makes fun of him for being too shy to call a girl by her first name. She then said that she actually likes her name because it means light and is spelled with the letter for the star, and told him that she thought she would feel better if she heard him call her by her name since she sometimes feels a lack of self-confidence, and asked him to try his best to practice. Jiru summoned up the courage to call her by her name and told her that her name suited her very well, unlike his uncharacteristic name, and when he caught himself, he apologized and asked her to forget what just happened, while Akari blushed and asked him to say her name again. Then she told him that it was annoying to call him by his first name when he doesn't, as if she was in a one-sided love story. When she realized what she had just said, she felt embarrassed and told him that it was just a hypothesis to perfect their role as a fake couple. Then she ran inside quickly to get away from him and felt bad that her mind was confused while Jiru was sure she didn't mean what she said. The next day, the teacher decided to give the students a pop quiz to gauge their level of concentration and comprehension, and told them that any student who failed would end up taking a trial class and would be taught by their training partner. Jiru felt that he was in trouble because he wasn't doing well in a certain subject and started imagining Akari torturing him in the supplementary lessons if he failed, thinking that she might not be up to the task since she was used to hanging out with her friends after school. In the evening, he found her asking him to buy some fabric softener, and when he was about to talk to her about the exams, she ignored him and said she was going to karaoke club today with some of her friends and some of the boys from school. She leaned in to make sure he wasn't jealous. He told her that all he was worried about was the tests and asked her if she was ready to take them. She told him that somehow everything would go well, and he wondered if she wasn't having trouble with any of the subjects. Akari got nervous and started trying to avoid answering his question. He realized that she had no idea about the subjects at all and told her that they should go home and start studying. When she insisted on hanging out with her friends, he warned her that if she had to take supplementary lessons, she would fall further away from Minami, so she should work hard and put off the fun for another time, so she couldn't argue anymore, and accompanied him home. Shiori, on the other hand, was studying hard with Mei, who encouraged her to take advantage of Minami being her partner to do well in the exams, and when she mentioned her failure to kiss Jiru 2 days ago, she was embarrassed and asked her to stop talking about it. Meanwhile, Akari grumbled about studying and wanted to take a break, although it didn't take long, while Jiru felt that he would have a hard time with her as she understands faster when he explains, but hates studying in principle. Jiru tries to encourage her to continue doing the problems, but she asks him if he's doing all this for Shiori, and then sits down and fiddles with the pen for a bit before approaching him and telling him that they should do something more fun than studying. Jiru began to sweat from her sexy figure and her words forcing his perverted thoughts to form in front of his eyes, but he pulled himself together and turned away from her to continue studying, frustrated that her plan to avoid studying had failed. Jiru then checked her paper and found that she had succeeded in solving some of the problems in the right way, and realized that she became more motivated to study when she saw that her efforts were not in vain. After some time, they finally finished all the problems, and she began to brag about herself for going a long way in her studies. When he realized that she felt better when she received praise, he was surprised to hear her call him sensei and started making fun of him when he blushed and wondered why men like these things. He changed the subject and asked her to help him organize their dinner together. She felt annoyed at the idea that someone like him was better than her when it came to studying. She decides to use her abilities to seduce him and keeps getting closer to him, making him feel her breasts on his body, while Jiru has a hard time withstanding her temptations. But as it gets worse, he can't help himself and lays down on top of her, which is when Akari realizes she's gone too far, and told him that he couldn't do what he wanted to do. But when she saw the serious look on his face as he began to touch her with his fingertips, she gave in easily, but was surprised to notice his nose bleeding as he approached her. He ended up arranging clothes while Akari laughed hysterically, so he felt grateful for his nose bleeding just in time before he went too far, and told her that he noticed her strange behavior today, and she told him that it was because he was desperate to forget Shiori and was overly nervous. She's surprised to hear him tell her that he's not studying for himself, but because he wants her to become Minami's partner as soon as possible because that's what's best for her, and he sees himself as a hindrance to their marriage while she helps him score points. He adds that he knows she will do well no matter who her partner is and that she is the one who always helps him, so he wants to return the favor by helping her study despite his below average level, and asks her not to tell anyone about what just happened between them at school, while Akari is frustrated by the idea that they will reach the top 10 and then she won't be his wife after they switch. A few days later, Jiru woke up and went to the bathroom. When he found Akari coming out of the bathroom, he was surprised to hear her call him by his nickname. He noticed that she deliberately did this throughout the day, even though she didn't seem to be angry about anything, and then she told him that today their test results will appear on the school app and she expects them to get high scores. Jiru noticed that her behavior seemed normal and she seemed to be in a good mood, except for calling him by his nickname. He wondered what happened to her all of a sudden, so he decided to look it up online. When Sadaharu noticed this, he thought he had a new girlfriend but found that he was looking for the best way to deal with Akari. Jiru asks Sadaharu if he fights with his partner every now and then, and Sadaharu replies replies that it's normal and tells him that his wife was angry a while ago because of her period and stopped talking to him, and he hoped that she would tell him that she wanted some time alone without yelling at him. Meanwhile, Mai was in an awkward position after her classmate Minami confessed her love to her and told her that she didn't feel the same way about her, and when Jiro and Sadaharu noticed it, they realized that the rumors about Mai being popular among the girls were true. Afterward, Jiro sat alone trying to solve the mystery of Kari and her insistence on calling him by his nickname. He remembered what she told him when they were stargazing and was not convinced that it was because of her nickname. After returning home, he decided to address her by her name to confirm his suspicions. As he was changing his clothes, he was surprised when she burst into the room to tell him that their test results were finally out. He was shocked to see their names in the 8th place in the top 10, and then he found her rushing towards him shirtless to express her happiness at their success, and he hesitantly told her that he was just going to take a shower. Then she helped him dry his hair, and while she was talking to him, he felt frustrated that she hadn't called his name since this morning, so he started saying her name while she didn't hear him well because of the sound of the dryer, but was soon surprised when she turned off the dryer to hear his voice. Then she blushed when she found him calling her by her first name, and when she addressed him by his name, he realized that she wanted him to call her by her name from the beginning, so he kept saying her name until she told him to stop doing that for no reason, so he decided to use it to his advantage and provoke her a little. She suddenly turned the dryer on in his face to force him to shut up, then told him to call her by her name from now on as a couple, then reached out and touched his hand, told him she liked it, and asked him to put up with her for a little while since it wasn't long before they broke up. Jiro remembers that it's only a matter of time before they're strangers again. Meanwhile, Mai is surprised to see their ranking in the results table and tells Shiori that she has to do something before Akari snatches Jiro away from her, and that she has to do more than Akari if she wants to date him. Shiori feels frustrated that she can't express her feelings so easily, while Mai tries to motivate her to take bolder steps, then decides to help her get a second chance to be alone with Jiro. As she thinks about it, she is surprised to find Shiori passed out after the ball hit her in the face. Mai went to tell Jiro what happened and asked him to go to the school clinic to check on her. He was confused and said that he had no reason to go, so she wondered if he was embarrassed to express his concern for her even when she was injured. She tells him that he should go to her if he wants to preserve his pride. After he takes her at her word and leaves for the clinic, she marvels that Shiori is in love with a loser like him and then sends her a message that he's on his way, and Shiori gets confused and starts preparing to meet him, thinking that she should take this opportunity. After a while, she was happy to see him and let him in, then apologized for worrying him. When he gave her some of the food Mai had given him, he found that she already had some, so she told him that Minami had brought her some when he came to visit. He was surprised when she asked if things were going well between him and Akari after their 8th place finish, and he told her that it wasn't that easy, as they often fought and lost a lot of points. Shiori was curious to try fighting with him since she had never seen his angry face even though she had known him for a long time, and wondered if she could see that side of him if she were his wife, then expressed her concern that she still felt nervous around boys even though she was a high school student now. When she asked if it bothers him to deal with her, he told her that it doesn't, and then asked her what she feels specifically when she is with Minami or when they kiss each other. She replied that they haven't done that yet and said that it's impossible to kiss even the person she loves, and she's afraid that it will cause him to hate her. She then asked him if he could help her overcome that fear and shyly said that she wanted to practice kissing with him. Contrary to what she expected, she found his reaction calm, and when he asked her why she chose him, she replied that he was the only one she could ask. He told her that he didn't mind, but he didn't think he was good enough at kissing, but she insisted on practicing with him specifically to give herself a chance to kiss him and express her feelings. He approached her, feeling his heart racing and not knowing what to do. She told him that she was feeling the same way right now, and he realized that she had feelings for him in some way. And when he remembered Mei's words to him, he decided to have the courage to do it. When he approached her, she hesitated and reconsidered her decision as they were not yet a couple, but he couldn't help himself and kissed her. At that time, Saki entered the clinic looking for the nurse and saw what was happening behind the curtain. In the meantime, Jiro rushed away after he caught himself and apologized to her, and when she accepted his apology and told him that she would be fine on her own, he rushed out of the clinic. On the other side, Akari was trying to text him to tell him that she was going to hang out with her friends after school, but he wasn't answering her. Then she found Saki coming back to her to tell her that she saw a couple's shoes through a gap between the curtains when she entered the clinic, and the bed was making noises, which made her conclude that someone was having sex inside, and that's when Jiro got the reply from Shiori at the school clinic, and she realized that they were the ones Saki saw behind the curtain. At night, Jiro searched the refrigerator for something to eat and was surprised to find the dessert that Akari told him they would eat together tonight. He checked the time on his phone and found that she was late returning, and on the other side, Akari was sitting depressed in the cafe alone. Meanwhile, Minami was about to finish his shift at work, but his colleague asked him to make a drink for a customer who seemed a bit depressed and asked him to give her more whipped cream as a complimentary favor. He looked at the tables and realized that this customer was Akari. When the drink arrived, arrives, she tastes it, then notices the message on the cup and feels embarrassed that she's clearly upset about something. When she returns home, she hesitates to go in, still thinking that Juru really slept with Shiori. Then she remembered that he had told her before that she was his first love and thought that he should be happy to do it with someone he loves, while their relationship is just a temporary marriage, which means they have no future together, and she felt that once she entered the house, she would find a different Juru than the one she knew. But she summoned her courage and entered the house and was surprised to find him sleeping on the couch. But what infuriated her was that the place was a mess with his clothes scattered everywhere, and while she complained about his negligence loudly, he hadn't woken up yet. She realized that he had been waiting for her all this time when she found him eating some candy by himself, so she changed her clothes and put on his shirt and fell asleep on his chest, wondering if he was an adult now without her and asking him not to leave her behind and wait for a little while she was still his wife. The next day, Juru woke up and was shocked to see Akari asleep on his lap and half naked. When she woke up, he looked away in embarrassment and told her that he had a lot of questions he wanted to ask, but would wait for her to get dressed first. She decided to play with him a little and asked him if he had forgotten what happened yesterday and what they did together. Immediately, his perverted thoughts started to creep into his head, and he had no idea what happened yesterday, and he was worried that he had had sex with her without realizing or remembering anything. He grabbed her and asked her if she meant that he wasn't a virgin anymore. She was furious at him for asking such a thing and pushed him away, blaming himself for having done it yesterday and not remembering anything and seeing himself as a piece of shit. Akari asked him if it was his first time, and he replied that if it was true, it would be his first time, and then she was surprised when he apologized to her if he burdened her, since he is a virgin and does not have much experience in sex. Akari gets the answer she wants and realizes that he didn't sleep with Shiori last night. When she tells him that she's been cheating on him all this time, he gets angry and quickly gets frustrated when she tells him that she's not an easy woman, which means he's still a virgin. He realizes that he's the idiot for thinking that she would want to do that with someone like him and that he's too full of himself. She puts her hands over his ears and tells him that she knows he loves Shiori, and of course he wouldn't want to have sex for the first time with a girl he doesn't like while he can't hear her, then sadly tells him that she hates him. The next day, Juru sits with Sadaharu at recess, and Sadaharu senses that something is wrong between him and his wife because he deliberately hides and sits alone during recess as if he doesn't want to see her. On the other hand, Shiori was having a hard time carrying and throwing away the trash, so Akari's friends started to help her, and when Saki noticed the boys nearby and asked them to help Shiori, they all ended up splitting the bags with each other. Saki wanted Shiori and Juru to take care of the big bags, but Shiori blushed and preferred to share the trash bags with her, causing Juru's heart to really hurt, and he felt rejected by the girls. After that, Saki and Natsumi met with Akari and hesitated to tell her something, so she suggested they play rock, paper, scissors. Saki ended up losing to Natsumi and had to talk first, so she asked Akari about her honest opinion of Juru. Saki realizes that she's in love with him and can't deny it, and when they ask her if she's lost interest in Minami, she tells them that she feels he's more attracted to Shiori, which makes her feel like she'll be an obstacle in their way. Saki tries to comfort her and says that everyone is trying to get along with each other for the training, while Natsumi tells her not to get carried away with Juru because he may seem sweet and shy with any wife, not because he has feelings for her. Akari felt a bit disappointed that they were right, but the girls quickly tried to cheer her up for a while until she started to feel better. After saying goodbye, Natsumi wondered if Juru and Shiori had started dating each other, and Akari might not know about it. Saki said she wouldn't abandon him because of Shiori, but at the same time she wanted Akari to seriously consider what she wanted for herself. Natsumi thought it would be better for their friend if something happened that would be a decisive moment for her, and then they noticed an advertisement for a fireworks festival in Ohori Park and felt that they had found their calling. On the other hand, Juru was helping Akari put on the yukata. She made sure Minami would see her in proper form and not let her guard down. Juru thought that maybe she doesn't see him as a man because she doesn't care how she looks in front of him. When he finished tying his yukata, she asked him what form he had taken, and he told her he'd gone for a bow tie. She asked him to change it because it looked too childish and told him that Minami preferred a more mature style unlike him. Akari wondered if he was jealous, and when he denied it, she wanted to provoke him and sarcastically told him to watch the fireworks from the balcony alone because he's single and won't have anyone to accompany him at the festival and not to think about calling her during the festival. After Juru finished retying it, he felt frustrated that he was the only one affected by the idea of her celebrating the festival with Minami and thought he was just a pathetic person. In the evening, Akari went to meet her friends at the festival, who admired the yukata she had chosen, and was quickly embarrassed when Natsumi told her that they had arranged it with Minami's friends so they could have some alone time. They began to encourage her to be confident and approach him as she wished and use the opportunity to express her feelings, and she felt embarrassed that she would receive compliments from Minami on the yukata that Juru had already helped her put on. She then wondered if she would be able to end her marriage with him and support him in his relationship with Shiori. Her thoughts were quickly interrupted by the arrival of Minami's companions without him, and when Saki asked them about him, they realized that they had forgotten to tell her what had happened. After they bowed before her to apologize, Shu told them that he had to go back to work after they needed him to help with an emergency and couldn't stop him from leaving. Then he approached Akari and apologized to her directly for accidentally ruining her date. He then hesitated before suggesting that he do something for her to make up for what happened, such as taking a walk together or buying her food. Then he was surprised when Saki grabbed his collar from behind and ordered him to go with his friends to get food for them. After they left, Saki apologized to Akari, but she didn't care, and after she was alone, she kept thinking that she had made a lot of effort for Minami, thinking that something would change if she met him here, and at the same time she wondered how relieved she felt when she learned that he wasn't coming. Then she remembered that in the past, she used to chase Minami around and pretend to play the role of Jiru's wife, but it ended up being the other way around, even though she knew she wasn't the one next to either of them and had to make a definite choice about who she wanted to spend her future with. Then she decided not to think negatively about it because she did her best and everyone tried to help her and thought about visiting him at his workplace so he wouldn't seem lonely. Before she went, she found a group of people staring at someone and his girlfriend and was shocked to see Minami with Shiori walking through the shops at the festival. When Saki and Natsumi return, she refuses to tell them what happened after realizing that something is wrong with her, so they suggest that she go home since Minami isn't coming today and that they arrange another opportunity for them later. In the meantime, Minami and Shiori were on their way to a store, and it turned out that they decided to take a shortcut through the shrine grounds, which is one of the areas within the festival venue. They came to a crossroads, and he told her that he would buy the rest of the items tomorrow while she would do the shopping today instead, and then went to his part-time job at the cafe. On the other side, Jiru was sitting alone and seemed to be on the verge of catching the flu after he took a shower and sat on the balcony watching the fireworks, and when he remembered Akari, he imagined how she would spend her time with Minami and wondered if he would become her lover if he hugged and kissed her as he had done before. Then he thought that if they changed each other in the marriage training, he would be just a classmate to her after what they had gone through together so far. He soon began to blame himself for his pathetic thoughts and was surprised when he received a call from Akari. When he answered it, he found her crying while saying his name, so he rushed inside and started getting dressed to go to her, and before he knew where she was, she ended the call after apologizing to him, so he rushed to the door while trying to call her. When he came out of the house, he found her sitting outside, crying heavily, and she told him that she ended up going back and apologized to him for taking the trouble to help her wear the yukata and felt frustrated and unsuccessful because everyone had tried their best to help her to no avail. She found him wiping her tears with his hand and welcoming her back. She rushed to him and continued to sob as he patted her on the head. They ended up watching the fireworks celebrations together from the balcony, and she asked him if she looked as cute in that outfit as her friends claimed she did. He felt embarrassed and told her that he still thought the bow tie suited her better. She realized that he was still upset about it. When she asked him if he was jealous, he told her that he didn't know anymore, and then he was surprised by her holding his hand and telling him that he could now do the tie he preferred. When she turned her back on him, he started tying her yukata again and had trouble perfecting it while looking at the picture of the tie on the phone, so she took the phone from him to see the picture and almost slipped out of her hands, but he managed to catch it before it hit the ground, and they ended up in an embarrassing situation, and Akari clung to him and asked him to call her by her name while they were in this position. He said her name several times until she felt better, and they watched the fireworks together, then thanked him for not asking her what happened today, and he told her that they are a couple, which makes it natural for them to help each other, while he thought inside his mind, wondering how relieved he felt to see her suddenly come home, and thought they should enjoy this first and last moment together. A few days later, Jiru and Akari sat down to check the monthly couples rankings and were upset that they were in 13th place, just out of the top 10, and Jiru realized that the 5th place couple had just started dating, making it hard to beat them. Akari thought that Jiru would have to put up with her for another month until they moved up. When Jiru got in the shower, he thought about how strange it was that she never told him what happened on the day of the festival, and that she was back to normal as if nothing had happened and was still planning the partner swap. Jiru tries to understand every word she says and finds that she's afraid that a spider has suddenly appeared in the house, so he tells her that she shouldn't enter the bathroom naked. She was furious and told him that no one cares about his body, which made him feel her words like bombs exploding in his ears. Then she pulled him by the hand out of the tub to get rid of the spider himself, and when he got dressed and went out to the living room, he didn't find any spider, which increased her anxiety. He asked her how big it was, and when she pointed at it with her finger, it looked like it was too big for the naked eye, but she said she couldn't stand it and turned around in fear that it would suddenly appear again, while Jiru noticed that she looked cute when she was quiet like that. Then she got hungry and wanted to get some food from the kitchen, and out of fear, she wanted him to come with her and ended up being forced to stay in the living room with her until the spider appeared and got rid of it, and as she was about to paint her nails, she felt like going to the restroom, and as soon as she looked at him, Jiru was shocked at what she wanted from him. After that, Jiru sat outside the bathroom waiting for her to relieve herself. Then she asked him to plug his ears so he wouldn't hear the noisy sounds of her belly, but he couldn't help but imagine what was going on inside, and when she finished, he thought he'd use it as a backup so he wouldn't have to go back in. And when she sat waiting for him outside, her face almost exploded with embarrassment, and she felt like she wanted to die for asking him to accompany her to the bathroom, and at the same time she expected that he would fulfill her request without hesitation, so she feels relieved that he is with her as she would not have asked Minami, for example. Afterward, they went to sit in the living room, and Jiro sat thinking about how he and Akari ended up as a couple since he never thought it would work out, and while she was painting her nails, she wanted to take a bite of his ice cream. He thought about going to the kitchen to get her one, but she told him she only wanted one bite. He was about to go get her a spoon when she said she couldn't use her hands, and he realized she wanted to eat from the same spoon on purpose and have him feed her as an indirect kiss. Jiro tried hard to control his instincts and fed her as she asked, and she told him that they had become similar in their favorite foods. While Jiro was curious to ask her if anything good had happened to her today, and she told him that he was just making her laugh. Akari thought to ask him if they had met each other under different circumstances, what would have happened between them, and he told her that they wouldn't have been able to talk to each other at all, and she thought it was because they didn't have anything in common. When he said that all the couples were just like them, she mentioned the fifth place couples, and he told her that they were the exception. He was surprised when she suggested that they start dating, but she pretended to be joking and kept looking at her nails after the nail polish had set, while Jiro stared at her, thinking that there was no way she could be serious about it. Meanwhile, Akari was thinking about what if they had met under different circumstances and didn't know he was in love with another girl. When she turned toward him, she was surprised to see a small spider standing on the curtains, and she trembled in fear, clinging to Jiro and begging him to get rid of it, while he struggled between his instincts and what to do right away. After he succeeded in getting rid of the spider, he suggested that they buy an insecticide next time, but she refused because she was disgusted by touching the insect after its death. He wondered what she would do if her next husband hated insects, so she told him that she would not hesitate to turn to him because she knew he would not refuse her, which made him feel a little flattered by her words before they each went to their respective rooms. Shiori, on the other hand, was up late thinking, and when Minami noticed, he suggested that she tell him so that he could help her. She told him that she had a friend who met the person she liked a while ago, and they ended up kissing, meaning herself and Jiro. Then she added that her friend didn't know how to look at him and meet him after what happened, even though it was just an accident, and that she had no idea how he was feeling, and that he might not like it and ignore her, but when she got worried, she made sure that she was in love with him. As she was telling him about it, he spilled his tea on himself instead of drinking it, because he was so focused on her, so he wiped his clothes and realized that the reason her friend was scared was because she was hoping something would happen, so he told her that she should tell him about her feelings if she was sure of the success of their relationship, so that she wouldn't regret it too late. He then suggested that she have her friend ask her boyfriend if he liked the kiss. She told him that there was no way that could happen, so before he left, he told her to tell her friend that she needed to be a little more confident. The next day, Shiori was helping Mai pick out some new clothes for her, while Mai thought that these clothes would suit her and that she should choose them to meet Jiro and get his attention. Shiori was surprised when Mai approached her, straightened her hair, and asked her to pick out clothes for her to wear the next time they hung out together. Shiori felt embarrassed for a moment, then joked that she now knew why girls liked her and was confident that anyone who dated her would be happy. Mai said that there are some people she can't make happy no matter what she does, then approached her again, grabbed her face, and told her to tell Jiro how she feels and be confident. They were interrupted by her fake husband Shu coming over to tell her that he had a job interview in the evening and that she wouldn't have to wait for him. When Shiori learns that he will be working at the cafe where Minami works, she is relieved that one of his friends will be his coworker and they will share the workload together, as he seems to have been working too much lately. He then suggested they have dinner together at home since he and Minami were going to stay out late at the karaoke club, and Mai was surprised that he deliberately made way for her to spend time with Shiori, which made her feel awkward, but Shiori didn't mind since they were friends. In the evening, Shu and Minami ended up with Sadaharu's drunken older brother Kamo at a bar, making fun of Minami and his older brother, telling them that they would face a tragic fate after graduating from high school because of their excessive good looks. Shu is curious to know what his older brother looks like and if they look alike, but he tells him that he looks normal, which makes Kamo furious and tells him that this is inappropriate for people like him and Shu to hear. As he continues to yell and complain, Minami offers him some water to regain consciousness. Meanwhile, Shiori decides to spend the night with Mai at her apartment and tells her that she'll let her sleep on the bed, but Mai is embarrassed and tells her that she's fine with sleeping on the floor. Mai felt shy and hesitated to say anything until she was shocked when Shiori suggested that they could take a bath together too, and almost choked. Then Shiori expressed a desire to see her old photos from when they were in middle school. Mai tells her that all the photos she has now are family photos, and when she learns that Shiori has some photos of her as a child, she is excited to see what she used to look like, but her excitement is quickly replaced by disappointment when she tells her that she is with Juru in most of her photos. Shiori was surprised when she received a phone message and canceled their plans for the day because she had to rush back to her family home. On the other hand, Juru was having dinner with Sadaharu, who expressed his displeasure at having to accompany him because he already sees him every day. He sat there thinking that his wife might complain to someone now that she's forced him to spend time outside the house, and when Juru asked him if things were going well, he sarcastically told him that it was better than a couple flirting and still in 13th place. Sadaharu starts questioning him about the allegedly accidental kiss and tells him that his life is not an anime harem. He then remembers that summer is approaching and he should prepare to fall in love and lose his virginity. Juru told him in a frustrated tone, and Sadaharu tightened his grip on his neck and called him a traitor, then decided to remove all his luck with girls, while on the other side Shiori was on her way home and couldn't stop thinking about her kiss with Juru when she was alone. When she turned around, she saw Sadaharu trying to kiss Juru to steal his saved data and impersonate him. Juru rushed to follow her after goring his friend and leaving him unconscious. Shiori, on the other hand, thinks it's just a fantasy until she's surprised when he calls her from behind and apologizes for what happened earlier and that it seemed like an unfortunate accident, while she thought he was talking about their kiss and told him that she was the one who should apologize to him. When he mentions Sadaharu, she has no idea what she's talking about, as it turns out she was reading the sign outside the restaurant and didn't realize what happened inside, and they end up in an awkward situation thinking they're talking about something else. When he noticed that she was carrying some heavy items, he decided to help her and drive her to the dormitory. On their way, he started thinking that this is what it would be like if they became a couple, and although he was sure that this thought was only in his head, he felt happy. Shiori was about to say the same thing, but at the last minute she pulled back and thanked him for helping her and told him that he shouldn't apologize for what happened at the school clinic, since she was the one who asked him to train her in kissing. She then added that this kiss helped her understand how a person feels during a kiss and that she wouldn't mind it. Then she expressed her gratitude to him, and Juru was surprised that she was telling him all this while still considering him just a friend, and they were about to do it again when a side fight between two stray cats started, and then they decided to go home quietly. A few months later, summer vacation arrives, and Juru thinks it would be unfair to let his training partnership with Akari continue into the second semester even though things are going well between them. He starts to think about what Shiori will do on vacation and guesses that she will go home. Sadaharu then gives him a part-time job ad and tells him that the cafe where his older brother works is running a pop-up shop as a summer event and they need labor, so he decides to apply for the job and will have to stay at the cafe for the duration of the job because he needs the money. Juru was surprised when Sadaharu told him that he had included his name in the list of applicants because it was a simple job that didn't require any special complications. Juru said that it was impossible to wait on customers and that he wasn't used to living outside his home. Sadaharu told him that this is why he wanted to work with him, as he would not be able to survive alone in a noisy environment as an introvert, and when Juru asked him why he went to work there in the first place, he told him that he needed money to spend on swimsuits for the female characters in his favorite game. While they were talking, Juru dropped the advertisement and Shiori picked it up on her way back to him, and when she read it carefully, she told him that she had applied for a part-time job at the cafe with Mai. Sadaharu seemed excited about the four of them working together at the same place and told her that he would do his best with Juru. Shiori was surprised that she would be working at the same place with Juru this summer and was excited about it before she quickly left, while Juru realized that at this rate he would be staying at the same place with Shiori during the summer and began to imagine what would happen. His thoughts were interrupted by Sadaharu's voice telling him that he had to get his wife's permission to go to work, and he hoped that this would be the defining moment for him. In the evening, Juru returned home and thought Akari was gone. He was shocked to see her coming out of her room to greet him and was shocked to see her wearing a swimsuit and asking for his opinion. He couldn't help but look at her and stumbled in his steps, blushing while Akari laughed at him for feeling aroused by a swimsuit. Then she told him that she went to buy a swimsuit with her friends, and Juru began to examine it carefully until she felt embarrassed and called him a pervert. He told her that this costume is exaggerated and shows too much of her body, and when he continued to stare, she felt embarrassed and put on her jacket out of fear of him. He told her that she was the one who asked him to look at her and that she was wearing his jacket now. He then asked her if he would accompany her and her friends on their trip to the sea, as he would feel comfortable with a man with them while they were dressed like that. Akari tells him that she's not going for a hike, she's going to work part-time at a cafe near the ocean starting next week. So he sits down next to her and tells her that he got the part-time job too, and that he ended up like this because of Sadaharu. But when Akari learned that Shiori would be his coworker, she remained silent while Juru continued that he thought about making an effort in his relationship with Shiori as she does with Unami, and she realized that this was the point of his wanting to work and pretended that she was reluctant to go because she didn't want to leave him alone. Juru remains silent and she ends up sitting on top of him to force him to say that he'll be lonely without her. He tells her that he won't be lonely because it's only for 3 days and they're all going back to their parents' house in August, then wonders why why she's suddenly angry, and when he asks her to move away from him, she refuses to get up before he says what she wants to hear. When he remained silent, she grew angrier and began to force it out of him, then stopped abruptly and told him in a hushed voice that she would be lonely without him. As Giroux hugged her and thought about using the opportunity to fulfill his instincts, she pulled away and told him it was to gain some points before they left. He gets frustrated and asks when she's going to change her swimsuit. She tells him she's still confused about which one to wear. When she asks him if he doesn't like it, he tells her it's only natural for him to like something like that since he's a man. She's delighted and decides to wear the other one to get his opinion, and thinks about accompanying her to the beach later. Then she started to entice him by saying that she would make sure he had a good summer this year and told him to prepare well. When he looked at her job application, he was shocked that she would be working in the same cafe as the others. A week later, everyone arrives in the beach town and finds that the cafe has reserved a special dormitory for them for the duration of their work. They start dividing the rooms into men and women, led by Minami, and when they go to train at the cafe, Akari and her friends are impressed by their uniforms. Sadaharu is excited to be in a place that will soon be full of hot girls and decides to wear a lucky charm that matches his hair color, while Giroux thinks that spending 2 nights with Shiori, who is not a married couple, is a great opportunity. She approaches him to ask him where he would prefer to work, and he awkwardly replies that he would choose the kitchen because it is not suitable for customer service, so she decides to choose the kitchen to be with him at all times, which makes him feel very happy. On the other hand, Minami was teaching Akari some things about her work at the cafe, and when she got some compliments from him on her intelligence, she blushed and looked very happy, while Shu was jealous of her because he liked her so much. As he continued to stare at her, he was interrupted by Saki and Natsumi, who was supervising their education. When he saw them making fun of him, he threatened that he wouldn't teach them anything. Saki told him that he was overreacting and that as such, he would never get a girlfriend. Natsumi then suggested that he give up since Akari is already in love with his friend Minami, and when she thought they might start dating each other soon, Shu confidently told her that it won't happen. Meanwhile, Shiori was cutting fruit with Mei and expressed her pleasure at working together in the kitchen, while Mei felt ashamed that she had feelings for her and started making fun of Giroux, who was washing dishes. She then told Shiori that she should use the opportunity to get out of the childhood friend role to get closer to him, and helped her have some alone time after she asked him to get some items from the top shelves for Shiori. Sadaharu was about to ruin her plan, but she dragged him out with her and asked him to carry some boxes for her, and when he went to pick them up, he noticed that Mai was wearing the same amulet he was wearing on his hand. Meanwhile, Giroux and Shiori continued practicing how to make the smoothie together. Giroux had difficulty applying the whipped cream, so she suggested that he try applying it slowly and gently. As she guided him to learn how to apply the cream, he was surprised to feel her breasts touching his body and ended up applying more cream so forcefully that it splattered all over them. Giroux apologized for the mess he made, while Shiori laughed when she saw a mustache on his face. He noticed that she had some on her face too, and when he started to remove it for her, she felt embarrassed and kept moving around a lot. Remembering Mi's words and deciding to come out of her childhood friend mode, she grabbed his hand and moved closer to him, and as they were about to kiss, she was shocked to see Natsumi and Saki staring at them through the glass door. They ended up embarrassed after the 2 girls interrupted them to get something from the kitchen, and after they left, she started apologizing to him, while Giroux was nervous about what happened and thought not to rush as they still had plenty of time, and Shiori was thinking the same thing and decided to take bolder steps towards each other during their time together. Sadaharu was having the most fun staring at the girls in their swimsuits, while Giroux noticed Akari wearing another one-piece swimsuit and realized that she was serious when she told him that the first one was for him alone. His thoughts are interrupted by the voice of Shiori, who is happy to see her in a cute swimsuit, and when Mei asks them about their outfits, Sadaharu tells her that they forgot to bring their swimsuits because they thought they wouldn't have enough time to enjoy the sea. Then they are all shocked when Shiori suggests that the 4 of them go have fun inside the hotel. The 4 of them end up building a castle on the beach, and Giroux is frustrated because he thought Shiori was referring to the hotel. As Shiori prepares a tunnel through the castle, Giroux can't stop himself from looking at her. He helps her dig the tunnel until their hands meet in the sand, and Shiori expresses that she's happy to play with him and that it brings back memories. When Giroux and Akari lost, the others were sentenced to go shopping together. Akari felt angry that it would be boring to be together all the time, while Giroux felt guilty that he had been chosen. When they got to the store, they found the place crowded and soon realized it was because of the 20% discount the store was offering to customers in love. Akari thought maybe they could use that to their advantage, so he blushed and told her that they were just a fake couple. She told him it was fine as long as no one knew about it. When it was their turn, they pretended to be lovers and bought the items, and the salesman offered to take a large quantity at no extra charge. Akari took care of the purchase while Giroux stared at her in amazement. While they waited for the order to be processed, she scolded him for not acting like a lover, like putting his arm around her, and kept comparing him to Minami, which made him feel angry, and when it was their turn to pick up the order, he went to get it. After that, Giroux was on his way to Akari and was surprised to see some people surrounding her. He didn't know if she knew them or not. When she called out to him, he approached them, wondering if they already knew her, and one of them told him that they had just recognized her and were disappointed that she was with someone as pathetic as him. Then one of them put their hands on her and asked him to tell them her name. He realized that they were harassing her, and because he was pathetic, he calmly asked them not to touch her, which made them laugh at him and accused him of trying to get something way out of his league. Suddenly, Giroux mustered up some courage and pulled her towards him and told them that she was his wife, leaving them shocked and forced to walk away after apologizing to them, while Akari remained stunned by what he had just said, but was soon surprised when he pulled away and apologized for what he had done to get her out of the situation. She was furious and called him an idiot for ruining the moment and told him not to jump to conclusions because she didn't take offense at him calling her his wife. She then approached him and asked him to show her what a reliable man he was during their marriage training. In the evening, Saki was enjoying a warm bath with Natsumi after work, while Shiori was in the locker room with Mei and noticed that her skin was tanned by the sun, and when she touched her, Mei retreated a few steps. Afterward, they joined the others in the bathroom and sat at a distance from Akari and her friends, but they were able to hear their conversation clearly because of their loud voices, and Shiori heard Akari's friends asking her about her situation with Giroux, the virgin. Thinking that Akari had gotten along with him after not liking him around, they found Mai approaching them to ask if it was okay to listen to their conversations because of their loud voices and invited her and Shiori to join them. While the girls were talking about the concept of love, Shiori apologized to Akari for not having enough experience with it, and Akari told her that she couldn't keep up with her friends too much, and they ended up thinking about Giroux at the same time. Akari came out of the men's room and noticed that Giroux was suffering from sunburn, and when he told her that he felt pain in the back of his neck, she offered to apply an anti-burn lotion to him. Then she continued to apply the lotion until she thought to ask him if his skin was sensitive to this type, and he told her that he had never had any allergy spots on his skin, and then he was surprised when she suddenly hugged him from behind, and all he could think about was that no one would see them in this position. But she rests her head on his back and tells him that she feels the distance between them has grown since they got here, and asks him to stay the same and not change towards her. They are interrupted by Seiki's arrival, and Giroux rushes out before she sees them, while Akari tells her that she was asking him to bring her a drink. Giroux ends up buying them juices with his own money and wants to check the orders, and remembers that Saki asked him for a cola, and when he asks Akari again about her order, he finds her giving him a deadly look before telling him that she wants apple juice. After he brought them drinks, they left quietly, while Giroux felt from her reaction that he had made a big mistake, and without warning, he found Akari texting him to meet her at the beach store 10 minutes from now, giving him one last sharp look. Shiori then heard from the girls that Akari had gone to buy some groceries at the store, and before she entered the room, she overheard Giroux's companions and learned that he had gone for a walk at this late hour, and was surprised by Mai suggesting that they go for a walk. Meanwhile, Giroux was in the unenviable position of apologizing to Akari for what happened earlier, while she laughed at him for apologizing even without his knowledge because of her anger and called him an idiot, then surprised her to take off her jacket and saw that she was wearing the swimsuit she wore at their home. Then she told him that she felt angry that he cares about how people perceive them, that he has been treating her coldly since they came here, and that she knows very well that he doesn't want to be seen with her. He realized that she was a bit jealous and told her that he was the opposite. Then he wondered if not being with someone as boring and ordinary as him was embarrassing for her. She told him that she doesn't care because she decides who she wants to hang out with, and while she was holding on to his opinion about what other people think of them, she pulled him towards her and got frustrated with his words and asked him to look at her more like he did at home, and when she found him silent, she grabbed his head and forced him to stare at her breasts like he always does, which made him feel a lot of pressure. He asked her to calm down and look him in the eye while talking to him. She told him that she hated that he called her by her nickname in front of everyone and talked to her coldly while talking to a lot of girls in the neighborhood, and it made her feel like he wasn't her husband anymore. Giroux wanted to know what she meant by that and asked her if she was jealous of him as a girlfriend. She blushed and denied that she was jealous of him, but was just angry that he acted so comfortably with others and not with her. As they talked, they were surprised to hear voices close to them, which turned out to be Shiori and Mei, so they had to hide in the small restroom behind them, and even though the place was small and the distance between them was too close, they tried hard to keep quiet so as not to be discovered. Akari kept thinking that despite her effort in swimsuit, she felt out of place in his heart, and remembered that she was more optimistic and energetic when all she was doing was chasing Minami, and now she ended up feeling safe and fun only with Giroux by her side. Then she fears that the day will come when he will leave and she will still feel his interest in Shiori. Giroux thinks she can't stand the heat inside, so he tries to move away from her a little and asks her to stay like this for a while longer. While they were talking, Mei heard their faint voices while Shiori was afraid that it was a ghost or something, and Giroux and Akari were in trouble from being discovered, especially after Mai approached their place to check if anyone was around. When she found that there was no one here but them, she thought that maybe someone was by the side of the the road, while Juru on the other side was sweating with tension, and when a few drops fell on Akari's chest, she began to push him away in embarrassment, making a noise that made Shiori run away with Mei, fearing that something dangerous was going on. After they left, she scolded him for staring at her breasts and told him to stay away from her and not be like other men, but she was surprised when he said that she was the one who asked him to look at her breasts and wondered if she was just playing with him, and he decided to be stubborn with her and not change the way she hates him. Akari felt so angry and embarrassed that she wanted to die for staying in this situation with him. Suddenly, he couldn't hold on any longer and started to collapse in front of her. She told him it was time for them to get out of here, but he couldn't move and kept lying on top of her. Then she felt his knee pressing against her, and when she asked him to move it a little, he told her it wasn't his knee. She blushed and thought he wanted to have sex with her now, so she told him to get away from her, and Juru fell unconscious. Afterwards, they returned home, and it turned out that he was suffering from mild heat stroke. When he regained consciousness, he apologized to her for causing so much trouble, especially since she had gone to look for someone to carry him home. She was furious and told him not to apologize for anything. Then she started scolding him about what he had said to her and told him that she was letting him look at her breasts all the time because she felt sorry for him and he should be grateful to her. She then asked him to look at the other different parts of her and expressed her displeasure that it has been 4 months since their marriage and yet she still doesn't know much about him and wants to know more about him. While Juru thought of many things after hearing her say that it has been 4 months since their marriage while smiling and felt that there was something wrong with the way she said they were still a couple. The next day, Sherry had been suffering from insomnia since that day when she thought there was a ghost near the beach, and when Akari came back, she told everyone that she fell asleep while looking at the stars on the beach and was surprised to see Juru heading towards the house as well and realized that they were together. Juru woke up and felt as if he hadn't slept at all due to fatigue. He ran into Shiori on his way to the bathroom and admired her in her pajamas, envying Minami for seeing her like this every day as her husband. After that, he went to the bathroom to brush his teeth and found Akari arranging her hair inside. While he was brushing his teeth, Akari noticed that he looked exhausted and asked him if he was thinking about what happened yesterday between them. He tried to ignore her and continued to wash. She told him before she left that this would be one of the secrets of their marriage, while Juru felt he was in trouble because she would use it as a weakness against him. At the same time, he felt relieved that she was talking about it so comfortably that he wasn't embarrassed to think about it. And when he started working at the cafe, he asked Shiori if she wanted to join the others at their event tonight, as they were planning to have some sort of bravery test. She rushes up to him and wonders what she should do about it since she's afraid of the simplest things. When she tells him about the sound she heard near the beach yesterday, he gets confused and tries to convince her that she's delusional. She felt bad because she was sure that she would cause trouble for those who would take the test with him. He suggested that they should take the test together as he realized her nature and that she was not brave enough so that he would not be bothered by her. She felt grateful to him and told him that his kindness was what she liked most about him. When she realized what she had just said, she blushed and tried to explain what she meant, which made him feel embarrassed, and he told her that he was used to people telling him that he was a nice person. She decides to leave the kitchen on the pretext of taking out the trash, while he's still thinking if there's another meaning to her words, and then panics when Sadaharu surprises him from behind, grabbing him and expressing his exasperation that he's the only one having fun among the girls here. Juru is surprised that he's been eavesdropping on them since he invited her to the event, while Sadaharu tells him that he decided to wait outside and not interrupt his friend's alone time, then tells him not to get too full of himself as Shiori likes his personality, not his self. Suddenly, he takes on the persona of a savior and tells him that he's willing to give him the power to partner with Shiori by taking the bravery test at the cafe and using it to show her how great he is so she'll like him more. He then goes on to say that the teams are divided by lottery, but he can manipulate it to deliberately match Shiori in exchange for 30 gems of his favorite game coins. When it's time to draw, Shiori has a drawing of a sunflower and worries about causing trouble for whoever her partner is, while Mei tries to encourage her. She then went to give Sadaharu a paper with the results of the draw as a sort of cheat, and was curious to ask him if he was doing all this just for Juru and Shiori, since he could have just marked the paper and let them draw it. He thought that Shiori would be opposed to such a thing happening, and he was afraid of drawing the wrong card and indirectly disappointing Juru, so he wanted to make it look like a coincidence. Mei told him that she didn't expect him to be such a good guy and told him to make sure his plan worked. After her departure, Sadaharu remembers Juru's request to team up Akari and Minami and is willing to give him twice as much for his help, as he doesn't want to leave her alone. At night, everyone was divided into teams as Sadaharu and Juru had planned, and then Kamo told them to head to their respective starting points. While Akari was feeling scared in the forest, Minami held her hand to reassure her. She couldn't refuse and kept holding hands with him while thinking about how he and Juru feel differently, even though they're both men, and then she wondered that she was thinking about him at the moment and suddenly realized that she had lost her phone somewhere. Sadaharu wonders if anything happened between Juru and Shiori, to which Shiori replies that she was constantly scared, so they they didn't have any romantic moments in the forest. Then everyone noticed that Akari and Nanami were late, and when Shu thought about calling him, Saki stopped him so as not to interrupt their moment, and Jiro thought that maybe they were enjoying their time together and kept remembering what Akari had told him and seemed to be as jealous as she was, which made him wonder at himself. Then Kamo gets a call from Minami and tells the others that he broke up with Akari while they were looking for her phone in the forest and couldn't find her. When Jiro is worried about her, Kamo tells him that this area is considered private property, so she won't be in danger. When the rain started to fall, everyone returned home after feeling that Akari would be fine according to Kamo and that he would take care of the search for her, while Jiro decided to go looking for her himself. Meanwhile, Akari was alone in the forest and scared because she couldn't find her phone and it was raining heavily. She thought about going home but realized that she was lost and didn't know the way. Jiro arrives in the forest and keeps calling for her loudly while she feels hopeless and sits thinking and blaming herself for always relying on others. Then she feels someone approaching her and thinks it's Jiro but finds out it's Minami. On the other hand, Jiro found Akari's phone on the way. Then Minami apologized to Akari for their separation and offered her to sit on benches near the forest, then contacted the others and told them that they would return after the rain stopped. Akari then apologized for causing him trouble by moving alone without paying attention to the road, so he asked her to take a break until the rain stopped, then surprised her by apologizing that it wasn't Jiro who found her first. When he saw the expression on her face as she tried to explain, he couldn't help but laugh. Then he realized that she was in love with Jiro and told her not to try to deny it. On the other hand, Jiro continued to look for her and found Shiori following him with an umbrella and came to tell him that they had finally found Akari. Jiro was surprised to learn that Minami was the one who found her and they were sitting together sheltering from the rain. He felt frustrated and could only stay with Shiori until the rain stopped. Then he asked her if she had come just to tell him about Akari. She told him that she had tried to text him several times, but he didn't read her messages, so she tried to look for him because she was worried about him. Then he thought that he should have stayed with them and waited until she returned since Minami would find her anyway and called himself a loser. Shiori tells him that he's not a loser, that he's a nice guy and has become even nicer since the beginning of marriage training, and that's when she starts confessing her feelings and envying Akari for living with him for so long that she knows more about him than she does. He tells her that he doesn't think anything will change about him just because he's married, since he and Akari aren't in love with each other anyway, then hesitantly asks her if she succeeded in kissing Minami after they practiced together. She blushes before telling him that she hasn't done anything like that since then, since her kiss with him was her first time, and then she gets up quickly to go home, and he catches her so she doesn't get wet from the rain. She rushed towards him and told him that she felt lonely now that he was away from her unlike their childhood, and thought that being friends wouldn't be enough to keep them together after they became adults. Then she looked into his eyes and asked him to prove to her that Akari wasn't a special girl for him if she really was. Then she moved closer to him and kissed him. Akari wondered what Minami meant when he told her that he was already feeling sad. He told her that he felt like he had just met his younger sister's boyfriend, and she realized that he saw her as a sister, making it impossible for him to fall in love with her. She decides to keep trying to fulfill the promise she made to Jiro, so she has the confidence to ask him if he will still see her as his sister if she becomes his wife in the course, to which he replies that he's been aware of the way she looks at him for a while. When she guesses that it's Shiori, he bursts out laughing and tells her that he doesn't have any feelings for her, but that the person he's falling in love with is someone she doesn't know, and it's a one-sided love. Then it turns out that he is in love with his older brother's wife. He adds that he knows how painful a love with no future can be, so he refuses to make her suffer as he always has, which is why he is relieved when he realizes that she is in love with Jiro. Akari wonders if he's in love with someone else too, and he tells her to try her best since he hasn't officially started dating anyone yet, and hopes that she can enjoy her love story and doesn't end up like him. Akari began to shed tears and expressed her gratitude towards him for trying to help her, and told him that she truly loved him and did not want him to apologize to her one day because of that. After he consoled her, she gathered her courage and decided to make an effort with Jiro to convey her feelings to him, and ended up falling asleep on Minami's shoulder, who wished her well for what she was about to do. After returning to the others, they found Jiro and Shiori with suspicious facial expressions indicating that something had happened between them. Months later, Akari went to the shrine of the gods and prayed to them to guide her to the right path and help her reach Jiro's heart. Shiori, on the other hand, was preparing to return to her family's home, blaming herself for allowing what happened that day to happen and thinking of nothing but her kiss with Jiro. She remembered his hesitation when she asked him if their kiss at the school clinic was his first time, and when he hesitated to answer, she realized that he had already done it with Akari. She felt frustrated and wished she didn't know so she wouldn't think she was having an affair with him, and wondered how he felt when they kissed in the rain, while on the other side Jiro spent his time playing, and when the queen kissed the hero, he remembered what happened between him and Shiori. He thought it seemed like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and felt relieved that she had kissed him and didn't feel bad about it, and that the first love he had partially abandoned had blossomed in that moment, but he was surprised at her reaction after the kiss and that she continued to apologize to him. Then he kept thinking about what she said and what it meant and felt confused about what to do. He decided to go buy some food and manga to escape thinking too much about it. After arriving at the bookstore, he chose a certain story, and before he picked it up, he was shocked when he saw Shiori in front of them. Shiori was also surprised as she didn't expect to meet him in such a place. When he asked her about reading the manga, she told him that she was on her way to buy a notebook from the store next door, but her younger brother asked her to bring him the manga. Jiru was surprised that her brother still remembered it and told him that she had talked to him about it. Then they discovered that the copy of the manga they wanted to buy was the last one in the bookstore, so Jiru refused to take it and thought he'd shop later. He was relieved that he could talk to her a little now instead of waiting for school to start while there were still awkward things going on between them. Unfortunately, they were surprised by a downpour just as they left the bookstore. When they end up standing in front of the store to take shelter from the rain, Jiru thinks of a way to end the conversation but is reluctant to do so when Shiori offers to accompany him to her house at the school dormitory since it's the closest to them and she wants to talk to him. Jiru couldn't find a reason to refuse and ended up standing in front of her door as she wanted to make sure the place wasn't a mess before he entered. When he entered the house, Shiori made coffee for them, and when they sat down next to each other, they remained silent out of embarrassment. When she thought he was referring to her, she turned to him and realized he was referring to the coffee and called herself an idiot. After a while, each of them sat and read, while Jiru was overjoyed to spend time with Shiori and kept contemplating her delicate details, while Shiori was overjoyed to spend time with her. Suddenly, Shiori turned to him and wondered why he was staring at her. He hesitated before saying that he would like to know what she was reading, so she told him that it was just a short novel and thought she would lend it to him later, confident that he would like it. Then she went into her room, feeling confused after their eyes met outside, and thought that she might have over-invited him to her apartment and that he might get bored or want to leave. On the other hand, Jiru was asking himself the same questions, whether Shiori hates him because he can't handle things. Then he thought that she's not the type to be assertive with anyone, so he should be happy that she made the decision to kiss him and decided that they should talk directly about what happened that day. She quickly goes outside and asks him to look outside on the balcony, where she finds that the sky is decorated with 2 rainbows and they admire the view together. Then she thinks to take a souvenir photo with this view. After Shiori took the picture, he asked her to send it to him and then thought if it was the right time to make a move. Shiori then showed him their photo with the rest of their classmates from the beach trip and how happy everyone was. Jiru kept staring at the photo, especially at Kari, and thought that he was confused about his true feelings and couldn't distinguish between love and friendship, and when she asked him if he was about to say something, he backed off. After returning home, he sat there thinking about it until he heard a message on his phone. He thought it might be Sadaharu, but to his surprise, it was Akari telling him that she was bored and despite his racing heart, he was trying to hold it together. Then he thought that she might have sent that message to many others while on the other hand Akari was nervous texting him until she decided to meet him on a date in 2 hours in front of a train station. Jiru didn't realize that he was going out on a date with her on summer vacation and felt like a trap. He started to fantasize about how it would go and that she might want him to buy her a lot of clothes or play a prank on him in front of her friends, but he took it all in stride and decided to take her seriously and accept the invitation. Then he ended up waiting for her in front of the train station and Akari was 15 minutes late, so Jiru realized that he was right in his expectation and maybe this is just a prank, and before he started to go home, he was surprised that she came running towards him and apologized to him for taking so long to get ready, so he told her that he was not angry, but he expected her not to come in the end. She felt angry that he thought badly of her and said that he wasn't used to such things since they didn't go out on a date beforehand. She felt embarrassed before asking him what he thought of her appearance today. He hesitantly told her that he wasn't used to seeing her dressed like this, but he admired her choice of a dress that suited her, and she told him that she was wearing it specifically for him. Jiru couldn't believe that she deliberately did all this for him, and then he found her pulling him along, excited to start their date and visit many places together, all the while wondering if Akari was really taking it seriously. When she asks him to take a sip of his drink, he feels awkward giving it to her and starts to think that it's an indirect kiss. She tells him to stop thinking that way so that she won't feel ashamed too, and he wonders about her unusual behavior and starts to wonder if she's been like that all along and he hasn't noticed it. After that, they went to the cat cafe and she spent her time playing with them while Jiru kept staring at her after noticing how cute she was smiling, and when he realized that he wasn't noticing many beautiful things about her, he thought that he wouldn't have noticed it if they weren't a couple. Jiru's perspective on his routine changed, as he had originally thought that playing video games was all that mattered during summer vacation, but now it was nice to have good days like the one he was currently spending with Akari, hiking, and trying different things. At the end of the day, Akari decides to send him the photo she took of them at the cat cafe, and he's surprised that there's already a photo. He didn't realize that the employee took it while they were playing with the cat and thought it was more like a family photo where the cat looks like a child. Then he realized what he had just said and tried to explain it to to her in some way, but Akari didn't care much and thought about adopting him during their internship as a couple, while Juru was happy that she asked him out on a date to hang out with him. When they entered the train station, she felt awkward saying goodbye, as they used to go home together during school, but she quickly rushed back after forgetting to buy the shrine amulet. He had to follow her wherever she was going, and when they got out of the station, they ran into Shiori on their way, and when Akari noticed that she was shopping, she told her that she thought of going out with him for a walk in the sunlight instead of being locked in his room for the whole vacation. When Shiori realized she was on her way to the shrine, she remembered their meeting at the beginning of the school year there and suggested they race to the shrine. Akari got excited and accepted the challenge, and Juru ended up carrying their things and trying to follow them as best he could, as if they were racing to see who could catch him first. During their race, they came across many important moments and events in other people's lives that gave them the energy to keep running in hopes of having such moments in their own lives, but they ended up in a tie after reaching the shrine. Then they were surprised by an old lady who came to check on them, so they apologized and told her it was just a race, and then her husband appeared, who was surprised when the lady called him Juru, and after they left, Akari felt that the man looked like the Juru she really knew. After a while, Juru arrived, panting from running after them while carrying the items, and the three of them stood praying in front of the shrine, hoping that their wishes would come true and they would live happily ever after. A few months later, Juru and Akari returned to their lives as a married couple after starting school and ended up placing fourth in the top 10.